Well, Miri is a retired Israel Defense Forces colonel and a senior fellow at the International Institute for Counterterrorism at Reichman University, joining me live from Tel Aviv. And it's good to have you up this morning. Thank you. Israel has woken up to a country that certainly seems largely intact. Iran suggesting that the ballistic missiles that it used to attack the country last night hit 90% of its targets. But the assessment at this stage, though it continues, doesn't suggest as such. These were military and security facilities that were targeted. What's your assessment of what happened between, 7:30 and 8:15 or so last evening?
Becky, I love the way that we quote what the Iranians are saying, that they fired these against these different military installations, and yet it hit near a school, inside a schoolyard in the town of Gdera that most people in the world have never heard of, not a big city inside Israel, hit inside the town that I live into, right next to Tel Aviv, and all around Israel. So I want to separate between the statements that they make, the statements that Hezbollah make. They can say that they're firing at military installations. They fire at the civilian communities, and wherever it hits, it hits. And in that sense, I think that as an Israeli right now, you cannot hide in Israel if there are casualties. And the idea that Israel is hiding what happened yesterday, Becky, you were here, we were all here, it was scary, it was hard, but that's what air defense does. That's why Israel, together with the United States, by the way, invested heavily in the term air defense. I don't think people understand what that means. It's not just the active defense of having the interceptors intercept these missiles in the atmosphere above the ground and the booms that we heard. It's also about the passive defense, what you and I did when those sirens were going on and on and on yesterday for, within that hour, where we protect ourselves, we go to places, we know how to act. So I don't believe the Iranians, I don't believe Hezbollah, and I do think that this kind of unprecedented attack is not the same as April. This is bigger and harsher.
I want to talk about two things. Israel vowing a response, saying that Iran made a big mistake and that they will pay the price. Firstly, to your mind, what does that price look like in Iran?
So this isn't just about posture. There's a lot of rhetoric that happens in the Middle East. We all make statements. And here I am, and on Israeli TV, where I live inside Israel, we're on the 360, I wrote it down, 362nd day of this war. We've been in war a year. Hamas, Hezbollah, the proxies, let alone Iran that's already attacked us in April and now. So when we talk about an Israeli response, we're talking about an all-out war. And Iran is using its proxies, and right now it directly attacked Israel. And so to me, there's no question that there's a response. The question is, which one? We're consistently trying. We've been on the initiative against that main proxy, Hezbollah, in the last few weeks.
Right.
That's part of it, but it could be direct against Iran.
Let me just get for our viewers the tweet from the Iranian foreign minister after this attack on Iran last night. He said, and I quote, "Earlier this evening, we exercised self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter, targeting solely military and security sites in charge of genocide in #Gaza, #Lebanon." This is the Iranian foreign minister. And he went on to say, "We did so after exercising tremendous restraint for almost 2 months to give space for a ceasefire in Gaza." And speaking to sources around this region, there was certainly an enormous effort made on the part of regional actors to try and rein in Iran's response to the killing of Ismail Haniyeh, the head of Hamas in Tehran, and latterly to the assassination of the Hezbollah chief, backed by Iran, of course, and his many of his commanders, and now, of course, the limited and targeted incursion, as it is described, into Lebanon. The foreign minister very quick to point out that this has been a policy of exercising restraint for almost 2 months to give space for a ceasefire in Gaza. That seems as far away as it ever has at this point. The concern is clearly now about a wider regional war. Do you share that concern, and you front opening up with Iran itself rather than just, for example, its proxies in Hezbollah and its ally, as it were, in Hamas in Gaza? What are your concerns at this point about where this goes next?
My first concern, Becky, is that I've never wanted a war. October 7th is the worst day in my history. When we talk about the last 362 days where we never wanted a war, the question is what you do with the proxies, with Iran, and Hezbollah is both a proxy and a Lebanese player. And when you talk about diplomacy, I want to be clear. Diplomacy is not about a peace treaty. You don't do a peace treaty with somebody who's calling for your annihilation. The peace treaty there would be that I don't exist and then everything's great. And I say that because right now, if you look at that foreign minister's tweet, I was reading it right before the program, on the night of April 13th, 14th, the former foreign minister, he was killed in that air crash that happened when the president was killed, put out a similar tweet from the United Nations, from the Iranian, where they show that what they're doing is legal. And what they're trying to do is not just the physical attack against Israel, it's the information warfare. Look at what you're just telling me, that what Iran is doing is legit and that what they're doing is just self-defense. I don't think that's what you were saying, but that's what they're saying. What the Islamic regime of Iran is doing is a overt attack against a sovereign state. They can say whatever they want. This is beyond illegitimate. It's been called out as such by the President of the United States, by the Prime Minister of the UK, by all of the world leaders. This isn't something that should be put in the Iranian information war context. We shouldn't allow them to be able to be legitimized in such a way. What do I want? I want an end to the war. I want the hostages back. I want Hamas to stop attacking me. I want Hezbollah to stop calling for my annihilation. In the meantime, I need to talk, at least in a certain degree, in Middle Eastern terms with these proxies, in the voices that they hear, and that's my targeting them in a very specific way.
Miri Eisen, just before I let you go, very briefly, should we expect, to your mind, a response from Israel on Iran in the immediate future? I'm talking about in the coming hours.
I don't know. And I will say that today is the Jewish New Year and that we're all looking forward to next Jewish year being a bit better. And I don't know if that will impact our decision making, but I do not know. It does not have to be immediate. It does not have to be overt, but I do think that there will be a response.
Miri Eisen, out of Tel Aviv, it's good to have you, and I'm glad to hear that you're safe. Thank you.